to Women Lead, a production of the Women of Color Empowerment Institute. We are your hosts. I'm Kathy Eggleston.
I'm Bernadette Norris Weeks.
And I'm Michelle Austin Panelists. We have an exciting show for you today. The show is going to be all about the money. Of course, it's exciting. We had a conference very recently, and during our conference, we had panels that were extraordinary. One of them is what we're bringing to you here today. The panel was called, Where's the Money? Achieving Equity and Financial Freedom. And we had extraordinary guests, but I'll start by saying that we had a powerhouse facilitator.
We sure did. Jackie Wright, who's a senior partner and Chief Technology and Program Officer for McKinsey and Company. She's amazing. She was like a really big deal at Microsoft for many, many years.
Absolutely, and she showed it, not to mention Ms. Deborah Owens, author, financial planner extraordinaire, and the only person we have repeated on Women Lead.
That's right.
That tells you how good she is.
She's really good.
Then we had a financial advisor, Simone Melo.
And she was amazing
as well. So listen, we have an extraordinary group of people for you, and what are they going to talk about? Well, they're going to start by telling you what wealth is and what it isn't. Because a lot of people talk about they're making like six figures, and that means they're fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Income is not wealth.
Is not wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We're going to learn about that, and we're also going to be talking about how to get that wealth, bottom line.
And what we need to be saving right now and doing and putting away in order to have a retirement in the future that's meaningful.
Absolutely.
And not have to go back into the workplace again, hopefully.
And this is for all of us, those of us who are closer to retirement, but especially you young people. You need to start now learning these lessons, because your retirement can be magic, global, everything you want, but you need to run those numbers, like Deborah told us.
That's right.
You know, and often people think, I'm not making a lot of money. How can I save money? They're going to be talking about that as well, because it's not, whatever you're making, wouldn't it be nice if you'd be able to have some of that income when you do retire? In other words, you may not be able to save with somebody who's making more than you is saving, or putting aside, or investing rather, but you'll save, you'll invest. It'll be at your level, but it's worth it.
Exactly. And haven't we all heard those stories about a woman who may have been a housekeeper in some place, and you really didn't, think much of it, and you thought maybe that person didn't have a lot of means, and the next thing you know, the person dies, and they donate $1 million to an institution or some worthy cause that they love. I mean, haven't we heard those stories?
Sure, but you can't get there without investing.
You can't get there without investing. And investing is what we, as women, certainly need to know more about. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with you after these messages. At the Women of Color Empowerment Institute, our mission is to enhance and expand leadership by women of color. We do this in a variety of different ways, including but not limited to providing mentorship opportunities for young professionals, where we assist in helping to create paths to leadership. We empower women to develop capacities for social change. We produce programs that promote heritage awareness, and we provide training opportunities for business and government. Our institute holds seminars focused on professional success techniques, and we host many other events such as our popular Advocates for Change and Leaders Connect. The Women of Color Empowerment Institute publishes a magazine called Women Lead. Our signature event is the Women of Color Empowerment Conference, a yearly conference where hundreds of leaders gather from all across the United States and beyond. To learn more about membership and how you can support our programs or be a sponsor of the Women Lead TV, visit us at nationalwomenofcolor.com. Again, that's nationalwomenofcolor.com.
The law office of Austin Pammies Norris Weeks Powell is a full-service law firm practicing in the area of governmental law, including the representation of municipalities, civil litigation, personal injury, real estate, and corporate transactional matters. With over 100 years of collective experience, our attorneys are admitted to practice before state courts, federal courts, and the United States Supreme Court. We are conveniently located in downtown Fort Lauderdale and can be reached at 954-768-9770. Or for more information about the law firm of Austin, Pammies, Norris, Weeks, Powell, visit our website at apnwlaw.com. That's apnwlaw.com.
So, Deborah, you have made a career of demystifying wealth and generational wealth building. So why don't you just describe the current landscape for us? Despite women being more successful, careers, more salaries, larger roles, we're not necessarily seeing that translate into wealth generation. So really tell us, what's the overall financial health of Black women as you see it?
Yes, well, what the stats say. People always ask me questions. Deb, what should I do? And the first thing I say, let's crunch the numbers, right? So let's crunch the numbers in terms of everyone in here understanding the state of wealth for women of color. The truth is that in terms of our household assets or wealth, we have 1/10 of what our counterparts have. Now, the significance of that is that what happens then is the next generation starts at scratch. I don't know about you, but my parents weren't able to have me start with anything, right? So wealth is significant because of its impact to give your family a head start. So 1/10 of the wealth. The other the glaring statistic, though, that I think is very important for every woman in this room to understand is that when we look at what assets we hold, women of color are playing not to lose rather than playing to win. Now, what do I mean by that? The fact is that we are risk averse. If we delve even more into those numbers, what we'll see is that we have a tendency to invest in assets that do not pay a rate of return that accelerates our financial growth. So we're in fixed income investments, we're in fixed annuities, because if someone says to us, can I be real with y'all? Yeah. If someone says to us, girl, you're not gonna lose your money, you can't lose your principal, it kind of makes our hearts sing, oh yes, I can't lose my money, but boo, you can't win either, right? Now, I'm going to go back to the statistics, right? Part of that wealth gap is a function of our lack of equities, stock investments in our portfolio. Historically, stocks have outperformed any type of asset, whether it be bonds, whether it be real estate. Not that you're going to have all of your assets in stock, but what is very important is that we increase our tolerance for risk, because 65% of households headed by Black women own no stocks.
60%.
Yes. 48% Hispanic. Conversely, when we look at white males, 80% of their investments are in stock. And so now if I juxtapose that, right, to our 1/10 of the assets, a huge part of that, listen, this is all I want to tell all of you. Most of you would already be millionaires if you had access to the knowledge that Jackie now has access for her private clients. But the truth is, unfortunately, if you don't already have assets, right, typically you will not get access to that kind of insight. And in addition to that, this is what's most critical, is that the knowledge of how to build wealth is inherited. Right? Now, I don't know about you, but my parents didn't, when I was 18, they didn't sit me down and tell me, Deborah, here is your trust fund, and here are all the assets in it. Anybody got that experience? And I go into the private bankers or the family office. So what I want all of you to know is that the state of our economic condition, that your lack of knowledge is not by happenstance. That's what I want you to know, right? If your parents did not have the knowledge, you probably don't have it either. And in fact, some folks in our family who do have that knowledge, they don't share it anyway. So if I could just be clear on that, I made you laugh, huh, Jackie?
So let's share. Financial literacy is key here. So Simone, why don't you tell us what are some of the first steps women should be taking to do what Deborah talked about?
Yeah, I 100% agree with Deborah. Investments is not only about, where to invest, but it's why you're investing, right? Nowadays, we're talking about what are you passionate about? So I have clients that comes to me and say, I only want to invest, focus on environmental, or focus on healthcare, or now the disruptive technology, which is the artificial intelligence. So it's very important for me and for Deborah on our roles to first hear what is important to our clients, right? I should never be imposing to them what I think it would be the right asset allocation, but first I should understand what is their risk appetite. And second, what are their goals? There are clients that want just to preserve the wealth. There are some that want to grow the wealth. And there are some that they want to have generational wealth. So, and there are three completely different types of clients, right? So only in complement of what Deborah said, yes, Deborah, I do agree that stocks are important. With some clients, we can stop and talk about alternative investments that also helps you to get there faster. But there is more risk involved. And that's why the discussion about risk needs to be always there, because we need to, our clients needs to go to bed and be able to sleep, right? To be able to be comfortable on their decisions.
So let's break it down a little bit. I mean, everyone is at a different stage in their life journey, which means investing is different depending on who you are, where you are in your journey. Talk to us a little bit about when you think about those journeys, what should people be actually thinking about? You've got folks in here who are just starting out, and you've got folks who are probably about to retire and some who are retired. How would you advise them?
Well, then it is a matter of what is my objective and what it is I'm trying to accomplish, right? And so the truth is that the more time you have, the more risk you can take, right? But I would say that risk tolerance is a function of our knowledge. That's the point that I want to make. Like sometimes, as I know when I was an advisor, when you speak to someone who has limited knowledge, even knowing that they have the capacity to take more risk, and in the long run, they're going to be further ahead, right? Then that education part is what comes in. And, here's all I want to say so let's look at the end game, since we want to cut to the chase. And you guys can use this as a rule of thumb. For every $40,000 in income you're going to need when you retire, you need to have about $1 million, right? Because $1 million, that's called the 4% rule. And so that says that if I were to take out $40,000 a year, I wouldn't impact my principal. So I just want you to count those numbers in your head. Okay, so if I'm going to need $100,000 worth of income when I retire, then I need to be on track, right, to be at about $2.5 million. I just want to use round numbers here because I think sometimes we complicate this. And so some of you may be thinking, oh my goodness, I'm so far behind. What is she talking about? Well, that's also a function of if you have pension, you have Social Security. And so, your pension and Social Security might be $60,000 of that. So now we're talking, I need another 40. Does this sound real to you guys? And so that ability to get to that point is going to be dependent upon where you are. So if you're just starting out, young folks, you got the one thing money can't buy, and that's time. So, but here's what I hear millennials saying. In fact, I was just interviewed about this is, I don't want to lock my money up in a 401k. I might want to buy a house. I might want to do this. Well, what they need to understand is they can get access to those funds in many cases if it's their first time home. If it's a Roth IRA or something of that sort, after 5 years, they can get principal. But I think oftentimes, if they don't understand what their options are, then they have a tendency to just say, I don't want anything. And then the other aspect of this, and we were talking about this yesterday, is that for young folks, right, their ability to achieve the kind of goals that that they want to achieve, everything costs more now. Their ability to get in a house with these interest rates going up right now. So there are a lot of things that could be perceived as obstacles, but the key for them is to get started. Now, I just want to take one other side of this, and that's for those of you who feel like you're behind the 8 ball. And you're like, man, she just threw that number out. I don't even know if that's even in reality, right? What is she talking about? See, I'm in your head. But I coach a lot of women. And here's what I want to tell you, is the key is to get started. Right now, back in the day when Social Security was created, at 65 you could get Social Security. They bumped it up to 67. Child, we was dead. They didn't expect us to collect Social Security. Are y'all with me? So y'all up here, I ain't got no time. You got plenty of time because y'all living to 90, right? So, my parents passed at 91 and 95. So you still have time. But here's all I want to say. You're running out of time. I have a real sense of urgency. And all I would say is that if you need assistance, you've got to get knowledge and help.
So Simone, building on what Deborah said, give us some tips as to how we accelerate this wealth-generating income, no matter where we are in our life.
Yeah, we already discussed a little bit about financial literacy. We need to be really updated on what is happening out there, right? How is the local market? How is the international market nowadays? And I'm not giving any investment suggestion, recommendation right now. But right now, many of our clients are really like diversifying, bringing some international shares, like Japanese shares, stocks, right? Because of how much it's performing right now. So it's important for you to be also, like managing what is happening to your economy here in the United States, but also what is happening elsewhere, right? Which industries you should be attentive that it's performing better. But on the top of what Deborah said, I just want to highlight one thing. Not talking about investments itself, it's a little, I like to step back a little bit when I have a client, when I have a prospect. I like to understand who my client is. Are you married? Do you have kids? How much assets do you have? Not only in terms of liquidity, but real estate, right? Do you own businesses? Do you have an exit planning? How is your relationship with your husband and your kids? Do you have a trust estate planning document in place? How long you don't revisit those documents? Because all this will impact your finances in a short term or in a, on a future. And it's important to be aligned, right? So you need to invest thinking about today, but you need to invest thinking, what if?
So it really is about mindset.
It's a mindset.
And I think, Deborah, in your book, you kind of discuss mindset and financial independence and how we think about it. Elaborate a little bit on that.
Absolutely. One of the greatest insight that I've gained after leaving the industry and really, going one-on-one, kind of hand-to-hand combat with folks trying to figure out what they needed to do. What became really, really clear to me, is that we got the wrong blueprint. And I think we all need to understand this. I don't know about you, but my parents said, go to school, get a career, get a good job, earn 6 figures, buy a house, and you're successful. Well, what I learned very early on in my career is that's not how the wealthy think, right? It's not focusing on income, it's focusing on increasing your net worth. And when you begin to focus on increasing your net worth, you're going to make different decisions. When you go to buy that car that's, $70,000, $80,000 now, as soon as you roll it off the lot, it depreciates. So is that going to increase your net worth, right? And so I think what the point I want to make is the missing link that we weren't given. We were never taught how to turn our income into wealth. And that is a function of taking a portion of our income and putting it into assets that are going to appreciate. And so that's the difference, right? One is an income mindset, which was the blueprint that we received, whereas the wealth blueprint and generational wealth blueprint really is understanding that, Monopoly.
Yeah.
Okay, you buy the house, and then you buy the next house,
That's
and then
right.
you buy 2 more houses.
That's right.
That is how you build generational wealth.
So I love this notion of net worth here. Are there other tips? You talked about assets, types of assets to build your net worth. What would you tell your daughter who's probably just coming out of university, and you want her to change that mindset or embrace that mindset? What are some of the things that you would tell her, or him or her?
I would give two suggestions for my kids, right? First, learn how to earn it, learn how to spend it, learn how to save it, right? This trio is a must. I know we all know this, but when we look at our finances at the end of the month, many times we don't have that well placed, right? So things happen, as in the beginning I said about myself. This is one thing. The second thing, looking for the situation right now, I would say learn about artificial intelligence. This is the most disruptive and current new technology in the market, and it's gonna change our lives. I would say similar to when we didn't have TV, when we didn't have a cell phone. It's because now we're talking about what's gonna happen to our businesses, what's gonna happen to our jobs. Are the machines gonna take over, right? And I think who is in front of the game, who is learning and getting involved in some way, some shape or form, or in investment side, or even on a career-wise, I think it's gonna be, a game change for them. And I think there will be a lot of wealth involved.
So
as
getting
well.
them educated.
Education is a must all the way.
All right, so I'm getting the hook back there. So why don't we summarize with what are 2 or 3 important things, if nothing else, that these women should take away when it comes to building that financial independence?
I'm going to make it very simple. I'm going to give my example again. I came to this country years ago without a job, with some savings. I started as an RM. A year later, I became a private banker, making double. 4 years later, 4 years-ish, I was invited for JP Morgan, and I make double of the double, right? So I think we need to be courageous. We need to believe that we can change our income. And I think the mindset that Deborah talked over and over again here today, it's a must, right? We need to believe that we're worth it and we belong to a much wealthier lifestyle and to a much better, career. On my career right now at JP Morgan, I'm surrounded by bankers that makes more than $1 million a year. Normal, super normal, right? And that's where I want to get. But that's not my final destination. I'm very ambitious. I believe that I can do much more. At JP Morgan, I'm involved at the Black Wealth Initiative. It's an internal group. I'm part of the board from BALD, which is Black Organization Leadership Development. So get engaged, right? Get involved. Talk to people, introduce yourself. My job at JP Morgan didn't apply. They found me because I am out there. My LinkedIn is alive, right? I'm all the time inputting information, presenting myself. So my biggest suggestion is, if you're unhappy where you are, if you're complaining you're not making enough money, just change the game. You know, you
Change
can
the
do
game.
it.
I
You
like
can
that.
do it.
Very good, Simone. Deborah.
I love that, Simone, because here's the other thing. One of the other reasons our wealth gap is so high is far too many of you are staying in roles and are being undercompensated.
That's a whole new topic we should have next time, eh?
All right. In the coaching that I do, literally, I'm speaking to a woman. She says, I've been here 12 years. I'm making 75. I thought, are you out of your mind? I put her on LinkedIn. We, did the do blah, blah, blah. And she didn't even tell me. I talked to her 3 months later. Oh, Miss Owens, I just wanted to tell you, I took another job. It's $50,000 more. Now, imagine she hadn't taken that change before. Here's what I want to do to all of you. I want to take your phones out. I want to give you a gift. And the gift is, so I want you to text 55444. That's the number you're going to text. 55444. And then you're going to put winner in it. WINNER. And when you do that, we're going to send you back our Legacy Wealth Blueprint. And what that blueprint is, it's a journey. It's the journey that all of the women took in my book, Wealth Secrets, and how they were able to accelerate their financial growth. And the first part of that journey is shifting from an income to a wealth mindset. So if you'll do that, that's the beginning. And if you want to join and learn some of the things that women are doing to take ownership of their financial success, I want to leave with this. You have everything you need to be everything you need to be.
You have everything you need to be everything you need to be.
Lastly, the only thing standing between you and the financial success you desire and deserve is knowledge. That's it.
Wow, that was some powerful information that I think any of us, tips that any of us could use to acquire wealth.
That's right. I've learned a whole lot.
Yeah, and that wealth is net worth, meaning it's not what car you're driving, it's not how much you're making, but what it is that you've ended up with as an asset. So we're looking forward to you learning about this today. I hope you've learned something, but also working on it in your future.
This has been so incredibly powerful, ladies, and I know that our audience has gained a lot as well. And like we always say, until the next time,
Be empowered.